Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliette Clark, and today we have another training on messaging alignment. So for anybody out there who's having a problem getting their message together without clarity, or even, just authentically getting yourself out there, this is the podcast for you. Before we get started today, I want to remind you our upcoming training, our monthly free training is September 5th. At 9 a.m. You can sign up for it at bamagtraining.com. This month is Carrie Cassell. She's a nutritionist, life coach, and works for one of the biggest coaching programs out there. A lot of visibility in the marketplace. And if you're thinking, well, why in the world would you have a nutritionist and life coach on? As any good entrepreneur knows, this is all a big balance. And sometimes we get caught up in some really unhealthy habits. So I'm hoping you'll tune in and listen to Carrie and how you can break all that. Today's guest, like I said, is a training. It's Amber Parr Burdett. And she is an accomplished editor, author, and writing strategy coach with over 6 years of professional experience in the editorial and educational fields. She has empowered more than 350 authors across 13 countries to shape, write, refine, and elevate their messages through her expert guidance, ensuring proactive support and message clarity. Amber's industry expertise spans editing, ghostwriting, manuscript development, and curriculum analysis creation, where she has crafted editorial workflows, style guides, and instructional best practices for a range of clients from writing and publishing startups to educational organizations. This is going to be a training with slides. So if you're someone who likes to watch, please go over to our channel, Super Brand Publishing, and stay tuned for Amber. Amber, welcome. Amber's getting her slides ready here. Okay, hit it, Amber.
Thank you so much. Honestly, I'm really excited to talk about this alignment because so many authors don't actually understand what it means to be aligned with their message. They understand their book. They understand all the work that went into making their book, but then what? They don't know what to do next because marketing is hard, because it's so oversaturated, because too many people are writing and they don't know the next steps to actually connect with their ideal reader. But it goes back to the foundational piece. So today, that's why I'm really excited to talk about alignment, which is the missing link between your message, your book, and your marketing. But before we get into that, I would love to kind of explain a little bit about who I am. I have 7 years in the industry. I've helped over 350 authors across 13 countries. I'm a certified alignment guide, and I'm an editor, a coach, and my highest form of alignment is being a mom to my little one. I absolutely love helping people understand what they want to say and what they want to bring to the world. And that is why I've switched to focusing on alignment as the foundational piece before I help with editing, before I help with book coaching. We have to make sure your piece, that foundational piece, is set. So with that, what is your message versus your story? Your message is so much deeper than your story. Your story is your life. You probably have spent hours and months, if not years, writing your story, which is your book. But what is the underlying message you want people to feel? Do you understand your messages clearly? That one feeling you want to leave with people as clearly as you understand your story? Or do you even understand your story even if it's written? Most people don't, and they don't see a difference between what their message is and what their story. Most authors think marketing is the next big step after their story is published. But if you can't clearly define the feeling you want people to walk away with as they're opening your book and they're reading your book and they close your book, then you don't actually have a clear message throughout your story. And that accounts for cookbooks, that accounts for fiction, that accounts for nonfiction. It's every single story out there. Most people are just focusing on their elevator pitch. They're focusing on like the summary, the book summary, but they don't know what it is they want people to walk away with. So with that, that is why I really want to get into what alignment is. And this was just the foundational piece for how to start understanding the difference. So like I said before, not enough people are digging deep enough. You've probably taken classes, you've probably listened to podcasts, you might have bought marketing templates, but you're not sure how to actually build something that sounds like you. And you're not sure how to resonate with people on that emotional level so that way you linger in their minds. And that is not because you're doing it wrong. That is simply because you're building on that shaky ground and you're not asking yourself the deep questions so that way you can clearly define those to your ideal market. Alignment is your message, your book, your offers, and your marketing all anchored in who you are and what you're trying to accomplish, that impact you're trying to make. I work with authors all the time who say, I keep changing what I think the book is about and how I talk about the book. I'm not sure who I'm writing to anymore or who my book is for anymore. And I know this matters, but I can't explain why. So that way they just go to the foundational piece of, well, my book is for middle-aged women who want to learn about farm life or want to learn about how to become a better mom, but they don't impact them and say, hey, I'm writing to that person who feels like she's lost her identity, really wants to understand who she is and how she can bring forth herself to the world. And that is where it's different when you're talking about how you want to impact them moving forward. So I want to ask, if your reader forgets every detail of your story, what's the one idea or truth you want to stay with them? Do you know that clearly? And I know this is presentation style so far, but I would love to ask the couple of you in the room, do you know the one idea or truth you want to stay with your reader in like a single sentence or word? Terry, I see you're shaking your head. Yes, I'd love to hear.
Well, my book is on God's fatherhood and how we misinterpret God based on what our human fathers have been like. So I think my foundational piece that we're talking about is God loves you more than God the Father loves you more than you know. And I mean, that pretty much, I think, sums up the message of the whole book that I want everyone to walk away with. And as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, how do I also get that same message into the marketing? It's like, yeah, if that's the message, that's the point, even the marketing pieces should say it.
Yes, agreed. But I also think you can dig deeper because that's what you're telling them. That's what you're saying, like, God the Father loves you, like, more than you know. But how many different people are saying that same thing? How many different religions are saying that same thing? How does your specific message impact them to live life differently? And that is what I want you to think. How can you change them? And how does it resonate with them specifically?
So then maybe it would be when you discover the how human fathers and other authority figures have negatively influenced your, I don't like to say the word negative, but have given you misunderstandings of who God the Father is. Then you can separate and differentiate and discover that God cares for you more than you imagine. How's that?
I really like where you're headed, but if you don't mind, because I like doing workshopping, I would love to push a little bit deeper and tell you how I think you can impact people and resonate with people on that emotional level. So you're saying we grow up with these foundational truths. Our people teach us, but they also impact us in negative ways and positive ways, in ways that we don't realize as we go about life. And you're talking to your reader, and I'm going to talk to you as if you're your reader. And you're saying, you've lived life with these unconscious beliefs, and I need you to know that He loves you. Your Heavenly Father loves you more than anybody, and He gets you wholly and completely. And as you understand Him and understand that He loves you, you can then move forward, understanding that sometimes those negative things that impacted you can be shattered and you can be broken free from them. Do you see how that kind of resonates a little bit deeper because you're talking about how it personally connects to that one person?
Yeah, so you're saying, I mean, what you just came up with is a paragraph, and I came up with a sentence.
Yeah.
So it's okay to come up with a whole paragraph then.
I like to encourage people to get their ideas flowing, and then, of course, you can synthesize them and refine them over time. But too many people are self-auditing because they're like, well, an elevator pitch has to be a sentence, which it does. But if you don't understand that emotional impact you're trying to make, and if you aren't able to have a conversation with someone and really get them to like, that is exactly how I'm feeling, then how are you going to be able to synthesize that and distill it down into a single sentence? And that is what I want. Like, I want you to feel activated. I want authors to feel so activated that they are passionate and they feel their message living inside of them. So it naturally, as they're talking about it, people are like, oh my gosh, that is exactly what I need. Because everybody goes through life with those unconscious beliefs, and you can change it depending on who you're talking to, depending on who your message is. I'm obviously talking to Terry right now, but for me, I'm going through life thinking, okay, this is what it means to be a mom. And typically who I'm marketing to is moms who feel like they've lost their identity. But because I'm playing on that identity piece and I'm saying, hey, like, you feel like you've hit all the check marks, you feel like you've done all the things, and you still don't feel fulfilled. Maybe we go back to the root cause and we're pulling out why you don't feel fulfilled, why you feel like you're not living your vision. And more people resonate with that. I was working with someone, well, I wasn't working with him yet, but I was talking with someone who still felt that identity crisis because of a webinar. He felt like, yeah, like that's what I need, because I was talking about that identity crisis where you feel like you've lost a piece of yourself. You feel like you've entered the space or exited a space and you've lost parts of who you were. And he wasn't a mom at all. He was a 47-year-old ex-pro athlete who felt like he was entering the real world and needing to discover his purpose. And that is why I went back to the truth of like, who do you want to be known for? Are you writing to tell a story, or are you writing to leave a mark? What is that mark you want people to feel that they walk away with? And what do you want people to believe after they finish your book? Do you see the difference between here's an elevator pitch about what my book is, and here's the impact I am trying to make on you, so that way my words stick and linger? That is what we're trying to accomplish today. And I know it's can be hard, but that's why you have to get into that activated space. You can't build looking outward. You have to start inward. A lot of people pick their book idea, they pick their marketing tactics thinking this is what people are telling me to do. A lot of people say Instagram or LinkedIn, but where's your reader? How are you going to resonate with them? Are you trying to do all the things and be in all the places? Or is your reader not even on social media, and are they just listening to podcasts? That's why you have to understand how you want to impact people and why you have to define who your reader is. And this is where I want to get into what your story is. Your story holds the details. That's what grounds what your message is trying to say. That's where people relate to you, but your message carries the weight. Your reader will probably forget a lot of the details of your story. They'll forget a lot of the components, but they won't forget how you made them feel if you know what you're trying to make them feel in the first place. And that includes marketing, that includes writing, and that includes speaking, however you're trying to resonate with people. If you're showing up on Instagram or LinkedIn or on podcasts saying, I want people to walk away feeling this one word, activated, understood, loved, then everything you say falls back on that specific message. You are loved. How can I make them feel loved? Well, here's how I found that message. You are now activated to share your story, and it resonates with them. So I would love to know if you have any questions so far about what I've shared. We're going to get into more specific details, but so far, does everything make sense? Okay, I'm getting some head nods. So this is the misalignment trap. So misalignment happens when you're writing, saying, or selling, and when that doesn't match what you actually believe and what you actually want to be known for. And this works for people who are not Christian, who don't have a faith, and it works for people who do have a faith, because it's what you believe. So many times I hear people say, well, I believe in a lot of things, but so does everyone else. Like, we're all human. And they mistake that niching down means I can only believe one thing. Niching down and selling to a market means I can only sell one thing. But alignment is when your core values, your vision, your avatar, which is your ideal reader, and vision, values, avatar, and mission all align. And that is really what you want to believe and be known for. That impact you are making on people in every interaction. And so instead of looking at the big scale, I want to be a bestseller, you have to look at the minimum, how can I leave an impact on people every single day? So that is how you start understanding how you can show up and how you can start marketing and how you can reach your people. If you're posting on social media, you can say, what do I want to be known for? What do I want people to feel as they see my posts? And as you get consistent and as you really share what you believe, you will resonate with people. I think video content and podcasts are the best way to relate to people, and webinars, just because people then hear your words, whereas if you're just typing a sentence, it's harder for them to understand and resonate. And that's why with a lot of captions or posts, I like when it's a longer post, because they're getting a feel for what you're trying to say and who you are. And you'll see that I say Instagram a lot and LinkedIn because those are the two biggest ones that the authors I've talked to are using. There's a graphic to catch people's attention or a video to catch people's attention, but then there's a long form caption or a long form post that gets people to keep reading and keep feeling that emotional weight of what you're saying. And that is how your book works as well. So what's actually happening when you're posting is, if you're looking outward at your readers, if you're looking outward at the people, at the audience, and you're just saying, well, what do they want to hear? Before you're ever deciding what do I want to say and what do I want them to take away with, that is where you're just noise, and you're adding to that noise, because you're saying, well, I think they want to hear this and I think they want to hear that, but you don't know what you want to say, and you're not allowing yourself to be activated enough to understand that. And like I said before, there are 4 pillars of building a lasting message. And that's your avatar. Pillar 1 is your avatar, and that's knowing who you serve in your writing, in your marketing, in your legacy brand, because that's what you are as an author. You are building a brand and a lifestyle. The second pillar is owning where you're headed, and that's your vision. The third pillar is knowing why it matters to you. Why are you doing this? Why do you want to be an author, and why do you want to resonate with people? The fourth pillar is leading by what guides you. Your core values. What is it you actually believe that grounds you, makes you different from everyone else? Because if it comes down to it, not everyone believes the same things. We all might want similar things. But if you have a value of family relationships and you don't define that value, then a lot of people are just speaking, saying family's important, but what does that mean to you? And again, we're going to get into this a little bit more with the knowing who you serve. If you're trying to reach everyone, no one hears you. I'm sure you've heard this before. This is the first place I still see authors, published authors, flounder, is they're still trying to reach everyone. They say, I wrote my book for one person. I already have that done. Now I need to reach everyone so everyone reads my book. But the truth is, in your marketing and your story, you're still talking to one person, and it carries more people in. Like I shared before, I was working with an ex-pro athlete, and he had that identity crisis. But who I was marketing to was that stay-at-home mom who felt like she had lost her identity because she was so focused on her kids. But because I played into the emotion of what they were feeling, that you've accomplished the things you wanted to, and you still feel lost, I was pulling in more people because I was talking to one person specifically, and it still carried that emotional weight. This isn't just demographics. You can't get, in some marketing tactics, when you're trying to pick your audience and sell and run ads, you have to pick a demographic. But when you are talking to someone and actually crafting your message, it's emotional targeting over those demographics. And that is why you have to understand what you are trying to accomplish as a writer. Ask yourself, if your book only changed one person's life, who would that be? And I want you to actually see them as they go about their day-to-day life? What are they struggling with? What's the moment they realize they need help? What do they believe that's keeping them stuck? Because that's who your reader is. That's who you're trying to speak to. And that's how you pick the points that you want to address in marketing, in your writing, if you're publishing blogs. That's how you then pick the pieces of your story that resonate with that impact. You're saying, what's the moment they realize they need help? All of a sudden, their kids are going to school and they feel like, I have this time and I'm so lost and I'm so scared and I don't know what to do with life. Or all of a sudden, they are craving acceptance and they crave this need to feel like someone loves them. And you're seeing on that foundational level, what is that moment that they finally turn and say, I need help? And you speak to them in that moment. Now, I see some different looks, and I'd love to know if you have any questions about this or if you want to workshop someone's avatar. No one? Oh, Terry? Okay.
I could, as you were talking, I was thinking of a recent conversation I had with my handyman, because he told me he was depressed and he had lost some business. Somebody had stolen his tools, and his marriage was suffering. And and I knew him well enough to know that he was a tough redneck guy, a guy who cusses, a guy who has a temper and doesn't forgive when somebody does him wrong. And here he was being vulnerable with me, saying he was depressed. So I kind of went through that process of, in this moment, what's he seeking? How can I help him? What can I say? And I didn't even show him my book, but I started talking in the way that you're talking about. And so, but that particular one conversation didn't get him to change change his direction or anything. So you talk about visualizing the person, their day-to-day life and what makes it, what will get. So I'm thinking, what will get this guy to the point of wanting help, as you put it. And so that was who I was imagining. I don't have answers yet to what this particular guy would be changed by. But that's more challenging than maybe my normal audience. But so that's what I was thinking of.
I love what you're saying, because there's two important things to remember when you have an avatar. It can relate to people but you also have to be aware, just because it relates to someone doesn't mean that if they don't accept your message, they're not your person. Because your avatar is that theoretical person who is ready, who, when they do hear your message, they are activated to change. And so while we have that heart to resonate with those people and you're like, you are perfect, they might not realize it yet. And they still have that choice, which I say this because I know, Terry, you are a strong Catholic. That goes back to God and the free will that he gave us, where it's just like, you need this. I know you need this. I want to shake you so that way you understand that my message can save you, but they're not ready yet. So you have to keep speaking to those people who are ready, because if you go and then you dilute your message and you go back to well, how can I get this one guy to be ready? You're then forgetting the people who might already be ready, and you can't forget your people.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. So it's people who are ready to find the help. They're seeking the help.
Mm-hmm. And that's why you are speaking to them in that emotional state, because they might be feeling the exact same way, but they have been activated enough where they, as soon as they hear your message, are like, I need her book. She is speaking to me. So I really, really do appreciate you sharing that, because I'm glad we were able to workshop and talk a little bit about the difference between real life people and avatars, and why we have an avatar over this is my friend who fits this avatar perfectly, so she is my avatar. And believe me when I say a lot of people struggle with that. So I think we went over some of these questions, but I want to point them out again, because this is how you can understand who you're wanting to serve. And if you've asked yourself these questions, what is your person afraid of right now? What keeps them up at night? What are they secretly hoping someone like you will solve for them? And that is how you understand that emotional level. Something is bothering them. They have some need, some pain point that you are perfectly able to address. And that goes back to your message. I want them to feel this, but where are they right now where they're not feeling that? What are they afraid of? What's stopping them from feeling loved or activated or understood? And that is how I'm going to move our faces because I'm in the way a little bit. When you know who you're best equipped to support, advocate for, or lead, you stop trying to prove yourself to everyone and instead start showing up with purpose for the right people. You keep speaking to your avatar, even if it takes a month or longer before your avatar shows up. Because by being consistent to your one person, your voice will be heard. And by understanding where your one person is, if they're on LinkedIn, if they're listening to podcasts, if they're reading blogs, by understanding where they're going for these answers and being consistent with at least that one spot, you're then not trying to dilute your message saying, well, I need to do this TikTok trend, and I also need to be professional on LinkedIn, and I also need to be on every single podcast and write all the blogs, and you're no longer feeling overwhelmed.
Amber,
Yes.
would you, I love the way you're describing like your descriptors of these different pillars. What was it you said about vision?
Yes, that is actually the next piece that we are getting into. So the vision. I wanted to give a brief overview of what the pillars were, and I know I kind of gave some more details, but it's because it can be really overwhelming. And so that's why I kind of wanted to give like a brief overview and a summary. Your vision is owning where you're headed. Your vision is your filter or the measuring stick for what you want to say yes to, and just as importantly, what you want to say no to. It's not a 5-year plan. Your vision is the picture of the impact you want to make. So how are you showing up for your people? It's also how are they then spreading your message and sharing your message? So that's why you have to first get clear on who you're talking to, because that person will naturally feel activated enough to talk to their friends who they feel like are in the same spot. And then your work will emulate into their lives. Your vision means you're not just telling the story, this is how you're shifting them and where you're defining that shift. So again, it's not about teaching everything you know, but it's about leading the reader through the transformation they can feel. So you're defining how they felt. If you're looking at your book or your message, how did they feel before they started reading your book? And how did they feel after they finished your book? And then you're saying, what was the transformation needed from where they started to where I want them to be? So examples are like, I want them to go from burned out to clarity, to having clarity. I want them to go from being silent to feeling confident. Or I want them to go from being confused to having conviction in what they say and feeling completely understood. And then you're almost like an outline, mapping out the little points you need to talk about so they feel activated enough to get that end result.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have...
So I have my book, and I actually started a women's group. It's called She Said. It's a coloring journal. So
I love that.
Based on my poetry of my own healing journey. And
Okay.
it's fun and whimsical and delightful, but it's also very poignant. So this is what I have on the back cover. And I feel like this is pretty much like my, what was that you said? Like my elevator pitch, I guess, but
Okay.
I'll just read some of this to you, and maybe we can workshop and see if this is, I mean, it's working really well with the women's group is working really well. The transformation is happening with them, and I'm using my poetry, and they get to bring the book and they do coloring. I do guided meditation with them. I mean, I'm really happy with the way it's working. I just need to get it more out there. I need to be more, and I've started doing more videos and stuff. But anyway,
I actually don't want you to read it. I want to ask you a question. You said it needs to get out there more.
That I need to get my message out there more. In other words, I need to be more active on social media.
Well, I don't want you to actually say you want to be more active on social media. I want to know, how do you want your message out there? How do you want it to resonate with people first?
Oh, well, I want it to really resonate with people. What do you mean?
So like, what is the emotion you want them to feel every time they're in a room with you?
I want them to feel hope. I want them to have a vision of where they are and that they can get where they want to be. I want them to feel that hope and that there's a place of compassion and understanding and validation of where they are at and that they can be where they want to be.
And what is stopping them from that?
What is stopping them from that is fear and beliefs that have been laid down, unconscious beliefs often that have been laid down since they were little, often, or could be any time in the past, but usually it's foundational from when they were little. So
Okay.
their belief system and the way they're seeing themselves and the way they're seeing other people is stopping. And I am here to tell them that they can change that. And I have a way to help them to change that.
Now, before I'm going to take a brief moment to pause because I want to point out and I want to see if other people noticed. Did you see how activated Peggy was as she was talking about, like, well, I want, like, you could literally see her getting really excited about it because she was allowing herself to not say, well, I know it needs to get out there. Like, I know it needs this. She was saying, well, this is what I want. I wanted to help this person. I want them to feel this understanding. And then you go back to, well, who is that one person? Where are they actually showing up? Because you're saying, well, I know I need to post on social media, but what social media platform? How many are there?
It's
Who
in
is your person?
Facebook. Yeah.
Facebook. And how have you gotten specific enough to pick an age for your person?
It's women between 40 and 50, 40 and 60. So that 20 years. I know that you're supposed to have 10 years, but 45 to 50.
Well, I actually encourage people to not have any age range. I encourage them to get specific enough where they see it one person in one state of time because your 40-year-old might have someone who's about to graduate, kids who are about to graduate college, where the 50-year-old might have everyone, like their kids have graduated college. So their life is a little bit different and they're looking at different things. The 40-year-old might be focusing on, well, I have to get my kids ready for the future. I'm worried about these things. Or the 55-year-old might be thinking about, well, how can I retire? How can I do this next thing? So getting specific enough to one age, you can then pinpoint even more specifically, what is that emotional impact? How can I speak to that person in that state? Because you're not saying to the dad who's looking to retire or to the mom who's focusing on getting her kids ready for graduation, you're saying it can be scary. The future ahead is scary. And both people might still be feeling that same thing, the person about to retire and the person who might be looking for a career change or might be about to be an empty nester, but you're speaking to their emotional state. So I encourage you to even pick one specific age you're speaking to.
One specific age?
In marketing.
Okay, so I'm a little confused because at first I said I thought you said don't pick a specific age, pick an emotional state. Is that not true?
I like to start people. I probably did say that, and I'm sorry I didn't clarify. So thank you for pointing that out. I like to start by saying, like, don't pick an age yet. First, understand how you want to impact people. And then when you're speaking to them, if you're getting confused and like overwhelmed by well, I'm still speaking to the 40-year-old and the 60-year-old, I like you to imagine an actual person. And what I do is I like close my eyes and I'm like, okay, what do you need right now?
I have many examples of that. I mean, I have so many friends and I have people that come to my group and I have many examples of that one person. So just pick one of those people specifically.
Yeah. And that goes back to who your avatar is. Because like we talked about with Terry, you have a lot of different examples of who those people are, but they are still not perfectly your person and they're at different stages. So when you can get specific enough to speak to one person in one emotional state, then you're actually attracting all those people in. Does that make sense, or is that still very abstract?
To one emotional state.
First, pick that, how you want to show up in the world and impact someone. And then when you're marketing, pick one person in your mind, not an actual person, but like close your eyes and ask yourself those questions of what's keeping them up at night. Do they feel, but they're not telling anybody, but you know, because you know them perfectly. Ask yourself those type of questions because then you'll have the confidence to know them as a whole person. And then you're not overwhelmed by, well, today am I speaking to the 40-year-old or am I speaking to the 60-year-old? You're always speaking to that emotional state.
Okay, I got it. So let me see if I understand what you said. So the emotional state is what we're looking for, but then you're going to start big on that, and then you go down to the specific about the age and the person.
What their life looks like.
Their life looks like. What is the secret they're not telling anyone? What's their fear that keeps them up at night, and all of that. And then I speak to that one person, and it's not someone I know, is what I heard you said. It's someone that I can picture in my mind.
It might overlap with someone you know, because a lot of people will be feeling those same things, but it's not an actual person.
Right. Okay.
And so with your vision, then you're asking yourself, what do I want that person to feel? How am I impacting them? What do I want to be known for by them? I want you to say, if my name were removed from the book, you're asking yourself how you want to impact them. And it's, again, not on that big scale of like, well, I'm going to be a bestseller, so I'm impacting thousands, but you're asking yourself, well, every day when I post on Facebook for Peggy, or when I speak on my own podcast for Terry, or however you are doing your marketing, you are asking yourself, what am I wanting them to leave and walk away with? What is that one word vision that I want them to feel? And that is how you're accomplishing that vision, instead of, so you can feel fulfilled on a daily basis, instead of, well, I didn't hit 1,000 books sold today, so let me just keep grinding. And you're focusing on the micro vision first. I say all of this because right now there is so much noise in the world. And Juliet and I were just talking about how Amazon ads are so oversaturated, and how Facebook demographics, like, it's not actually reaching the right person. It really is a noisy world right now, but people are craving clarity more than ever before. They're craving authenticity. And so if you haven't found that for yourself, that clarity, how you want to show up in the world, how you want to impact that person, which is your vision, the how is your vision, then you're not actually able to reach them because you're not clear for yourself. So first get clear for yourself, so then you can be clear in your messaging for them and they feel that activation. Like I said before, when Peggy was talking about, well, I want this and I want this, like I can see her like getting so passionate about what she's wanting to accomplish that I'm naturally drawn in and I want to know more. But when you're just memorizing something and you're just like, well, I'm supposed to talk about this, you don't feel activated. You forget your story and your message. So it has to always go back to your, like, who you are at your core.
Can I ask you another question? It's a little, it's a little different, but kind of on the same subject, where you were talking about, if you have your message to that one person, other people will come into your sphere who resonate with it, which I loved your example there, because I'm just, my book is called She Said, and I have the website, shesaidcoaching.com, but I'm a male client, which obviously is not at all. So, I mean, I can use my name, peggymatheson.com, as my website, or I can use shesaidcoaching.com, or I could say use She Said Journal, which is my book.com. And so I'm trying to decide what might be the best way to do it. I love shesaidcoaching.com because it is so specific to my book. Now I have other books that are going to be a little different, but similar kind of stuff. Not this one specifically to a woman's voice. I mean, it's all my voice. I'm a woman. So, but, so I don't know. What are your thoughts on me? Because I'm redoing my website right now. I already have one called peggymatheson.com. And for my group, I put up one called She Said Journal.com for my group around the book. So I'm really trying to get focused in here as I create a new website using Go High Level. She Said Coaching.com, peggymatheson.com. Does it matter?
I'm careful because I don't know all of your components. I just have brief little insights, but using my experience, I have, like I said, I speak to mothers. So I have a moralmothering.com. However, that is my avatar in the beginning stage, and I have 5 phases of my avatar. So I also have my author name as a website, and that is speaking to those people who want to be authors. Because even though I'm still speaking to that emotional stage, that's where I'm then drawing in those people who want to be authors that aren't the 34-year-old moms. So that is where I say that, because on I use LinkedIn primarily, or not LinkedIn. I use Instagram primarily because that's where my moms are. I used to call it Moral Mothering, like my profile name, but I switched it to my name because I was trying to connect with more people who wanted to be authors in that phase of my avatar. So I can't speak to what your website name should be, but I do think on all the outward facing things, you should use your author name because you probably have more than one book in you. And maybe Juliet has some insight if you want to share anything, Juliet. But I just don't know specific enough.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, there you go.
You know what I do is I have a couple different brands. I hope this helps, but what I do is they all go to the same website. So if you're, does this kind of clear it up, Peggy? So I actually forward Author Traffic School to Superbrand because I have two brands. It sounds like that's sort of where you're going. So no matter where they go, the URL is forwarded to Superbrand.
So you have that one website, but it's called Superbrand Publishing. And
Right.
that is forwarded. Yeah. So that's, I was thinking of that, but I'm wondering, is that PeggyMatheson.com or is it SheSaidCoaching.com?
I have them all. So I would do your name because it's name recognition. Because at the end of the day, they're not looking for she said, they're looking for you specifically. Okay. So so I always save my Juliet Clark as a speaker site, but I haven't set it up in years. But I already have name recognition. So for you, I would keep it in the name recognition space and then she said coaching feeding into that.
Got it.
Because that gives you the flexibility in the future too. If you make a shift, that it's still Peggy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So then I would still have the SheSaidCoaching.com.
And it might redirect.
And direct it to PeggyMatheson.com.
Yeah.
Like, so if so when I do my and I do memes or I do posts or whatever, and I decide I want to put my name on it, I put Peggy Matheson on it, right? Peggy Matheson.
You don't even need two sites. So if you're looking for Author Traffic School, it feeds right into Superbrand. So you don't need to go build two different sites from that. You just feed that one URL, forward it to the other, and it's all you.
Right. But I wouldn't use She Said Coaching if I used my name, right?
Like on my. Can I jump in?
Yeah, please.
Because I've been a webmaster since the internet was born. So what I have found very helpful is from the PeggyMatheson.com, you do a / she said coaching, and that would be another page that has on it all the things that search engine optimization would find to lead people to that particular page. Because in fact, most people, the home page of a website is not normally the landing page. It's an inner page that is dealing with something that strikes the person in their heart and they want to find out more. So you could have all your ideas for, the different website names, but have them a page or a set of pages on the same website. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah. I really like that. And there's so many technical pieces, and I know we can get into that more if you ever want to have a one-on-one conversation or with Juliet or with Terry. But I know we're supposed to wrap up at 45 and I'm already over. But I do really quickly want to say, understand why you want to be an author and why you want this. Ask yourself why you care about the work. What pain have you experienced that you want to help other people avoid? What lights you up when no one's watching? What feels fulfilling even when it's hard? Understand your purpose and then set your values and define them. Don't just say, well, I believe in God. What does that mean to you? How is that truly a value in your life that shapes who you want to be? And because we have to wrap it up, I do really quickly want to say I offer alignment sessions, and I would love to take each of you through because I think each of you can go deeper. I do a 90-minute session, and usually they're 500, but if you are interested, I will do an alignment session for you, a 90-minute session for $375. And so feel free to reach out. I just think each of, we'll go over each of those 4 pillars for you specifically in your specific state, and we'll help you clarify your message so you can see your person and reach them more specifically. Because I know this was a broad overview. So thank you so much. And Julia, I'd love to give it back to you.
No, thank you. Amber, where do we sign up for that? And I'll put it in the chat here.
Yeah, so I would, if you scan for the free discovery call or you email me, that would be great. I can't remember what this worksheet is because I repurposed these slides. So I think this was for someone's branding, defining their brand. So you can get your worksheet there if you want a branding worksheet. But the discovery call would be a really good place to start, or email me and we can set something up.
Yeah. And when you email, be sure and mention this podcast, because I know you guys are all on, you're getting it in real time, but you can go to Amber at Burdett, BURDETT.us.com, email her, mention this podcast, and she'll give you that discounted discovery call. So it sounds like all of you had some really great questions here that you could really benefit from that call as well. And Peggy, it's so nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a while.
You too. Thanks.
Peggy ran off and got married. I got like a whole story a couple months ago. I didn't know what she was doing.
Congratulations.
I'm back again.
You guys, thank you so much for showing up today. Amber, this was great information. Thank you for doing this. I wish we had more time because I feel like you could have dove a lot deeper with these guys. But you guys take advantage of that, because it sounded like all of you had really great questions and could get really clear. Everybody who's on this call has a book. So it's just a matter of getting that messaging a little bit better. And Dorothy has 3. She's got 2 cookbooks in the works, and she is a busy lady with a canning course as well. So you guys, thank you so much. Amber, thank you.